Hello and welcome back to my channel. It's Saturday the 1st of October and I'm going to start by going straight to my results this week. I did what I tend to do, what I call my norm, and I've gone back this week to doing 2 A's, 2 B's and 11 Sims just to keep it simple. And the result I got this week was a £1 loss, which is fine. I'm happy with that, that's good. It's now got me I think £1.5 below the bottom of my target. So in an ideal world I need to gain a little, but I found this week like focusing on trying to gain weight is a really, I was going to say odd thing. It's quite a difficult thing because for many years I've focused on trying to lose weight and putting yourself in a position where you need to gain weight. You know, my friend said to me the other night, oh, for God's sake, just go out and have a good binge. I can't do that anymore because I can't binge. I don't want to binge. My body doesn't want to binge. It doesn't crave binging. And also, I cannot eat that quantity of food today. So, for this time in my life, thank God, binging is off the agenda. I have been drinking full fat milk. What are those coffees called I've been drinking? Cortado coffees and flat whites. I think I've had a flat white. But you see, even then, that falls well within my Sims. And I don't want to start seeing how far I can push it before I gain weight, or see how far I can push it and gain a little weight. My head doesn't seem to be in that place anymore. And then there's always the fear that I could push it too far and then not stop pushing it. It's taken me a long time to learn not to overeat, so why on earth would I want to go back to overeating? I'm happy with the way I eat today. The weight's naturally going up and down a little without any dramatic input on my part. So I'm staying with that, and if I have to pay for group, I pay for group. I'm not bothered about that. It's worth every penny to me. So my results today were a £1 loss. My miles walked this week are 47.81, which has fitted in quite nicely with our week. We haven't done anything extreme. We've had one or two nice walks. There's been a couple of cooler days. We walked on a wet day, but that's life. No, can't stay indoors and not get some exercise just because it's raining. I actually enjoy walking in all weathers now. And I used to be the person who wouldn't have ventured outdoors if it was raining. I'm grateful today that the weather doesn't stop me doing anything and that my weight doesn't stop me doing anything. So yeah. Group this morning was smashing. We opted as a group to have a Macmillan coffee morning because that's the time of year that it is, and Macmillans are fundraising via their coffee mornings. And I have to say, I've never seen so many Slimming World cakes in one place. It was marvellous. People really do, in my group, people really do make an effort. They want to participate. There's nobody, not everybody bakes. It's a massive group, so not everybody bakes. But those who do enjoy baking, they go to town. And we're blessed. I mean, there's a lovely lady called Linda who bakes, and a lady called Mary, and some of the stuff, Naomi, my group leader, she bakes for these things, and so many really nice things. There's a lovely young woman in the group who made cheese scones, and they were tiny cheese scones, and they were tasty cheese scones, 2 Sims each. Well worth it. So yeah, it was a great morning, and I think between our two groups this morning we've raised a good amount of money for Macmillan. We also had image therapy. We did everything we're supposed to do. Really encouraging groups, some good awards, a £65 weight loss in my group. But it's nice to come away at the end of it feeling not only, excuse me, do we feel blessed that we've had image therapy, a good group, good company, a nice drink. We've also shared recipes and we've done something worthwhile for Macmillan. So never, can I say to people, never think it's not worth staying to group. Because it is. And I know it's difficult for some people when you first go, if nobody talks to you and that kind of thing. But I always say I have as much responsibility to talk to others as other people have to talk to me. So if you find yourself in a position like maybe I did in the beginning, where you feel like you're sitting there like Billy No Mates, You talk to somebody else. You go and join a conversation. Don't always expect somebody to do it for you. I know it's not easy, but going into a Slimming World group, we all have something in common. We're there to lose weight. So that's a good starting place. And even if you just stroll across, sit down next to somebody and say, how long have you been coming? Or what's your experience of the group? It starts a conversation and then you're a part of it. And when people say to me, oh, I pay my £4.95 a week, but it's only to get weighed, isn't it? No, it isn't only to get weighed. It's so much more than that. You're paying for the wealth of experience that comes from Slimming World, I believe. And you're paying for the room, and you're paying for an hour and a half's social meeting. You know? So don't ever think, why do I have to pay £4.95 just to step on somebody else's scales? It's actually about a lot more than that. So if I can encourage you with that, it's about so much more. A couple of food products and one electrical product I want to bring today. The first food product is lean protein cheese. Now, I've heard this mentioned a few times in different places. We'd not seen it in the supermarkets, but we bought it this week in a Waitrose online shop. 350 grams in this pack for £4, which might seem a bit expensive. That gives you 5 portions at 70 grams a portion. So you're allowed 70 grams of this for an A choice on your Healthy Extras. I haven't tried it yet because it only got delivered the day before yesterday. What I have heard, and I don't know how true it is that it's better if you're going to melt it or cook with it, because it's more like a processed cheese. But so are cheese slices, so are cheese strings. Lots of people like processed cheese, so maybe you'd like to give it a go. But it is supposed to be on sale in Morrison's. You don't have it in my local Morrison's, but they may have it in yours. And wherever you buy it, it's £4, so you might as well buy it in Waitrose if you've got one. My second food product, is this. This is the makings of a minestrone soup in a bag from Asda for, was it £1.50, Joe, I think, wasn't it?
£1.50 or £2, somewhere around there.
Yeah. Now, this is something I'm going to use today in my new soup maker. But I'll ask Joe to read the ingredients on this bag for you. I'm confident that this is sin-free. Although, there's a little warning going on in my head about the pasta, because it's not dry pasta, and if you remember, we have to count fresh pasta. So check it out. We didn't actually check the sins on the sin calculator. There may well be a 1 or 2 sin value to this bag, because the warning in my head says this cannot be dried pasta. Okay, I'll pass it to Joe and he'll give us the ingredients.
Onions, carrots, cannellini beans, calvo nero cabbage, pasta, which is made of durum wheat semolina, garlic puree, basil, oregano and black pepper.
Okay, so it said pasta made of durum wheat semolina. It didn't mention oil in any of that. And I know the reason we have to count fresh pasta is because it has oil in it. So, as I say, I'm a bit like that. I'm not wholly sure, but I would possibly, if I was going to count anything for that, I'd probably count 2 sins, but we will check it out on the app. And you could do the same. The other item, I'm just going to lift it up because it's heavy, is this fella. This is you can see its instruction knobs and things are on the top. This is a Tefal Easy Soup Maker. Now, it stands like a big kettle, I suppose, really. It's heavy. This makes 1.2 litres of fresh soup in about 21 minutes. Now, Joe, I'm going to put it down because it is heavy. I think you can see it. Well, I'll just show you again, all the knobs, the press buttons are on the top. So you've got a smooth soup, you've got a chunky soup, you've got a cleaning button, a blending button and a keep warm button.
There's also a compote button.
Oh yeah, you can do fruit compotes in it, but watch it because you'd have to count those on Slimming World. So I'll put that down. There you go. Joe made butternut squash soup in it the other day and it came out really nicely. We were surprised how smooth It made it, weren't we, Joe?
Yeah.
It did come out really nicely. The beauty of having one of these for us is that we know what's going into the soup, because we've been looking at buying the big tubs of soup from different sources, and some of them are a huge amount of sins, and some of them have some dodgy ingredients, some of them have a lot of salt. It's all down to preference. I know people aren't probably as faddy as I am, but we thought at the end of the day, if we make our own soups, we know what's gone into it. We know how many sins it is, because some of the soups are quite high in sins because of the oils or fats that go into them, or the creams. So that was our plan. Now we went into Lakeland after looking in their catalogue. Their Tefal soup maker is listed at $79.99, I think, or $79.95. When we went into Lakeland earlier in the week, it was on sale at a price match of, we paid 52 something, didn't we? 52.49. But when I went in on Friday to get one for my friend, they're now down to $49.97. I just rang Lakeland before we did this video to check for a current price, because it changes daily apparently. Today's price on the 1st of October 2016 is $49.97. Actually has £30 off it. So if you were thinking about buying one, and we did look at the other ones that were available, and we thought this was the better, even though it was the cheapest, which is, you know, usually you think, I'll go for the dearer one, it's going to be better quality, but the dearer one didn't have as many settings, and it was £139. So I would recommend that. Tefal Easy Soup Maker, available in Lakeland, also available at Lakeland online, and because it's over £30 it would be postage free. I'm not sponsored by Lakeland. I wish I was, but I'm not. So yeah, just recommending them because I know the quality of their sort of support staff, and also if you buy something from Lakeland and you're not 100% happy with the way it works or the way it works for you, you can take it back and get a full refund as long as you've got your receipt, even if you've used it. So I always think, you know, they actually stand well behind what they say about their goods. And we have taken things back. We bought a spiralizer in there, which was quite expensive, and we thought it was rubbish. And we just took it back, got full refund, no questions asked. So they do that for you. Okay, I just want to share with something with you that I heard a few weeks ago that's really helped me, and it's a bit odd, but it might just help somebody else. I was reading a book, an audio book, and it involved native Indians, what we used to call, when we were children, Red Indians, I suppose. In the story, 2 young native Indian children were in trouble, and Grandad got involved, and he said to them, you know, why did you do what you did? And they said, well, Grandad, it's really difficult because while we want to be good and we've been taught to be good, there's a voice inside us that's always trying to encourage us to do something bad. So Grandad thought about this and he said, let me explain it to you in like traditional ways about, you know, in our beliefs. And he said, think about yourself as having 2 wolves inside you. And one of those wolves is a strong, good wolf. And the other one of those wolves is a lean, mean wolf, a bad wolf. Now, it depends on which of those wolves you choose to feed, as in behaviour, I suppose he was meaning. It depends on that, which of those wolves is actually stronger in your life. Now, I was reading this at sort of 2 o'clock in the morning, and it really spoke to me, and I got this beautiful picture in my head of these 2 wolves. And I think wolves are majestic animals, but these 2 wolves, one of them in my head was a big, blonde looking, you know, I suppose like my retriever used to be, a golden coloured wolf with a fine, shiny, clean coat and bright eyes and almost a smiley face, if you can imagine that. And the other wolf was grey, and he had a matted coat, and he was thin, and he was snarly and nasty. So he was the bad wolf, and my blonde wolf was the good wolf. And I was thinking about this in regard to what do I choose to eat today. Well, I know that the further I've got away from being morbidly obese and the further I've got into the Slimming World plan, the more comfortable I am with eating well and eating healthily. So for me, eating well and eating healthily is my blonde, handsome wolf. For me, eating badly, eating off plan, eating compulsively, binge eating, snack eating when it's not appropriate, choosing to eat my trigger foods, choosing to talk about cheats and treats, choosing to stuff my face with inappropriate stuff, which for me would be what I call an impulse eat. So if I was sitting around with friends tonight and I'm feeling a bit peckish and I say to my friends, let's ring Domino's pizzas, and I'm hungry, let's have a pizza. Well, ring up, let's order 3. Now I could eat a 14-inch pizza on my own, I used to do that. Today, by the grace of God and this plan, I don't do that anymore. That would be me feeding the grey wolf. Literally feeding the grey wolf. And he would get stronger and stronger in me until he got stronger than the blonde wolf. And then I would be right back into living the way I used to live, which was what got me to 22 stone. So for me, this picture just spoke to me so clearly of like, Jane, you've got a choice. You can feed the good wolf, you can feed the healthy eating, you can feed the on-plan eating, and the stuff that causes me no grief and no problem, or you can feed the grey wolf. And that grey wolf will get stronger and stronger and stronger until all the good stuff goes flying out the window and you're right back to eating the crap and the rubbish and the quantity that you used to eat. And for today, and hopefully for the rest of my life, I don't want to do that. You could hold me up against the wall with a gun against my head and I would be reluctant to eat a Domino's pizza. I just don't want it anymore. I was out for lunch with a friend, well, not for lunch actually, we went shopping on Thursday, my friend and I, and got to like 2:30 in the afternoon and my friend was hungry and we popped into a cafe and she said, what do you want? And I said, a coffee. And she like looked at me, do you want something to eat? And I'm like, no thanks, just a coffee. I had a milky coffee. And she said, oh, you don't eat, do you? And I laughed, me not eat. Just don't be stupid. I eat loads. I eat better and more than I used to eat. But the reason I didn't want to eat at 2:30 in the afternoon is because I was coming home to a cooked dinner at just after 4. The old me would have took advantage of being able to eat behind Joe's back and lie to him and lie to myself. I could have sat there and had, a toasted white sandwich full of rubbish. I could have sat there and had a blueberry muffin full of rubbish and then come home and said to Joe, oh, had lunch with Nikki, but I chose just to have a coffee. Because that's what I used to do. I used to lie to myself. I convinced myself I didn't eat these things. Absolutely convinced myself. And I could con all of you. But for today, it's not worth it. Because I don't want to walk into Slimming World on a Saturday morning and be, I was going to say shitting bricks, but I shouldn't be saying that on air, should I? I don't want to walk into Slimming World on a Sunday morning, stand in that queue and even be slightly concerned about having gained weight. I actually said to Joe this morning, I feel like I've put weight on. He thinks it's down to the fact I've been eating too many a lot of Brussels sprouts. Probably is just wind weight. And I hadn't put weight on, I had lost. But I knew standing in that queue this morning that my conscience was totally clear. There was really we do have unexpected gains, but there was really no reason that I should have gained much, if anything, this morning, because I've been bang on plan all week and loving it. So, anyway, that's me, and I'm only talking about me, and I'm not judging anybody else, and I'm not telling you what you have to do. I'm just telling you how well I feel for doing Slimming World properly. Right. My word for this week, and it's still very much food related, is speed. Now, I watch a lot of people on YouTube. I don't do Instagram, it's too visual, I can't do Instagram. And in a way I'm glad I can't, because Instagram would just make me food obsessed. The last thing I need to be looking at is hundreds of photographs of other people's dinners and posting mine, because that wouldn't be motivational for me. We're all wired very differently. That is far too food focused for me in that way. But as I say, I don't do photographs and pictures, so I'm not about a visual reminder like Instagram is. And I'm sure there's loads of really useful motivational stuff on there, but it's not for me. Right, what is for me is Slimming World, and the way this plan's made up and the way this plan works. And I watch a lot of YouTube videos, and I often hear, and I can't mention names because I can't even remember who they were, but I don't want to mention names anyway because that's not relevant, and I'm not picking on anybody, but I so often hear the phrase, I know why I haven't lost enough weight this week, or I know why I've had to maintain this week, or I know why I gained X number of pounds this week. It was because I didn't eat enough speed. Now, every time it makes me smile, because for speed, read what? What is speed? Fruit and veg. I don't think it's anything else, is it? Just fruit and veg. So when people say I didn't eat enough speed, I smile to myself because I think, why don't people ever say I didn't eat enough fruit and veg? Because that's all it is. It's not some sort of magic ingredient or some sort of drug or whatever. It's just fruit and veg. Simple fruit and veg. Like, as it's grown, we should be eating it. This is just, I'm saying, it's my opinion, and I do feel really, really passionate about this. Now, I know that when I first came to Slimming World, I could have come out of a Slimming World group on a Saturday morning, gone into Asda, bought a trolley load of fruit and veg, brought it home, feeling fully motivated, totally on plan, stuck it in the fridge or in the vegetable rack, and then by the end of the week I'd be chucking it away. Because basically, as an idle person, if I'm not in the mood to cook, the last thing I want to be doing is standing in the kitchen at the sink, peeling carrots, washing and chopping broccoli, washing and chopping cauliflower, topping and tailing green beans, and doing whatever else it is you do to most of these veg. So as I've come through the plan in the last 18 months, I've looked at what works best for me as an idle person, and I can cook. I'm not a person who likes to spend hours in the kitchen. It's not a hobby of mine. So I look at what works best on plan for the greatest good. And what I found for me and for friends on this plan, and I was talking to a lady in group last week who had a gain and was really struggling. She came and sat with me and she said, Jane, can you help me? And I said, well, I will if I can, but what do you need help with? She said, well, I don't understand why I'm not losing weight, or why I'm losing very small amounts and then getting a gain. So I said, well, we've got loads of time. Let's go through what you eat on a daily basis. And she had actually got a food plan with her, and we went through it. And I said to her, right, if I can be totally blunt, you know, if I can get honest with you, the one thing I would say to you is, where the hell's your fruit and veg? Not where's your speed, where's your fruit and veg? And she said, well, there's a bit here, and there's a bit there. And my attitude is like, it shouldn't be a bit here and there. It should be at least a third of your plate. And she was quite like, oh, I never thought about it. I've read that, but I never thought about it like that. And we were talking about ways to get a third of the plate that were the simple ways for us as individuals. Now, for me, the easiest way to get it down to be, and mine's always way more than a third of my plate, but the easiest way to get it down to that is to put the vegetables on my plate first. Now, I know for most of us, when we probably dish up a dinner, we'd put the meat on first, then the potatoes or pasta or whatever, the veg comes last. Well, turn it on its head. This is what I've done, or Joe does. Put the vegetables on your plate first, then add your proteins and your free foods. That way, you're not going to go overboard on the free food. Because whatever this diet or plan says you can eat as much free food as you want, it doesn't say overeat, it says eat. And something Andy Neff said in his video, I think I was watching it earlier in the week, it could have been an old one, but he said on there, it says eat until you're comfortably full. It doesn't say stuff yourself until you're in agony. And just because pasta is free, and just because potatoes are free, and rice is free, bulgur wheat, couscous, quinoa, all of these things are free, we need to look on the packet of most of them. I know a potato doesn't come in a packet, but you want a jacket potato? A decent size for a female or a male is the size of your fist. Now, a man, I'm pointing at Joe here, a man will have a bigger fist than a woman. Put your fist next to mine, Joe. Can you on camera?
Yeah.
Yeah? He should have a bigger potato than me. So, fist-sized potato. When we talk about protein, your meat, palm size. Put your palm next to mine. Bigger?
It's kind of hard.
Yeah, bigger?
Yeah, round about.
Yeah?
But I think men should have 2 palms of protein.
Oh, is men 2 palms,
I
women
think so.
1?
Yeah.
Yeah. But there are ways, that you can relate
And
it.
then 2 fists of vegetables or something.
Right,
isn't
so
it?
for a woman, a palm, a fist, and then 2 fists of veg.
Yeah.
There are all these ways of measuring, because let's face it, we didn't get to be fat by undereating, did we? If you're anything like me, your eyes are bigger than your belly. And it doesn't matter whether your eyes are bigger than your belly with ice cream, potatoes, pasta, whatever. If your eyes are bigger than your belly, you get fat. That's what I did. So now what I've had to learn is what I call Slimming World principles of moderation. And it doesn't come naturally to me because naturally I want to overeat. But the longer I eat moderate portions, the more it is becoming my normal. So, for example, a good starting place I find, and again I don't want to teach my grandmother to suck eggs. I'm not here to tell you how you have to do this plan. I'm just here to tell you how I've done it and how I am maintaining a weight loss. Of what is it today? I don't know. 11 stone, 11 and a half, I think. If you took this bag of vegetables, now this is a Tesco bag of veg and has broccoli, carrot, fine green beans and baby corn. So they're all speed. So that's a speed bag of veg for £1. There's how many grams? 180. 180 grams in that bag, right?
But you have been known to eat the 450
Oh yeah,
gram
I'm just
bag.
saying this is where I started.
Yeah.
So this is the size I would have started with. That's all speed. It's 2.5 minutes in the microwave. You don't even need to dirty your pan or your steamer. You can just snip a little hole in that bag, throw it in the microwave for 2.5 minutes. Vegetables don't come any easier than this, unless you open a tin. That, I would say, for the average eater is a third of your plate. I think that's fair enough. It's probably 2 fist sizes, like Joe said. £1 a bag or 3 for £2. Now, can you get vegetables, good vegetables, much cheaper than that? That works out at what? What's 3, 7, 14, 21, 67 pence a portion? No waste. So you're not chucking stuff in your compost bin or your wheelie bin. You've got no waste, all good food, and simply that's a third of your plate. If you can't do that, if you can't, because you don't like one of those vegetables, for example, there's nothing wrong with frozen veg. No waste there, you use it all. So for your budget, it's good. There's nothing wrong with tinned veg if that's all you like. Nobody's saying you can't open a tin of carrots, tin of peas, tin of, I don't know, mushrooms, whatever. Just don't open creamed mushrooms. I think you can even get Brussels sprouts in a tin these days.
Remember that peas are peas.
Peas are protein. There's nothing wrong with eating peas. It's only the same as putting meat on your plate. It's protein. So if you like peas, eat garden peas. You know, they're protein. Petit pois, protein.
But they don't count as your speed.
No, they don't count as speed, but they're fine on an SP day.
Yeah, but you couldn't just have, like, meat, potato and peas.
No, you need to add some speed to it.
Mm.
But one of the things I did when I first joined Slimming World, I was telling Joe about this the other day. What I would have done if I could see was I would have gone through my Slimming World book with a black marker and I would have just scored through every veg I wouldn't eat. So I would score through broad beans. I don't know if they're speed anyway, but I don't like them. Acorn squash. I wouldn't know an acorn squash if it jumped up and bit me, and I'm not that fussed. I like butternut squash. That's good enough for me. But I would have just scored through I made my own list, compiled my own list of exactly the vegetables I like. Now, for some people, that might not be a huge list, but it's a starting place. And as I've said often enough on my vlogs, I only eat what I like. So if I come to your house for my tea and you give me broad beans, then you'll have to forgive me because I'll leave them. Now, the old me, who was a greedy pig, would have ate them anyway, even though I couldn't stand them. But that's another story. I'll just smother them in ketchup or something to get them down. Don't do that anymore. But compile your own list. Now, what I did was I put it on my talking mobile phone, and I have a list. And some days, you know, if I'm thinking I'm not getting enough variety in my vegetables, which doesn't often happen, but does occasionally, I actually listen to my list again and remind myself of what is speed. Because, like, baby corn in that packet is speed. Corn on the cob isn't, it's free. Sweet corn isn't, it's free. But baby corn is, take advantage of it. You know, at this time of year, we're coming into the winter vegetables. Turnip is speed. I like turnips. Parsnip isn't. Swede, speed.
Yes.
Yeah. And it's just kind of reminding yourself, we're coming into a new season of veg and fruit. Remind yourself of what is speed. You know, there are some good stew packs out there. And the majority of the vegetables in those stew packs are speed. So they're fine. You know, it might have some parsnip in, it might have some potato in. But if you're going to make a good beef stew or something, that's fine. That's your free food. But try and focus on the majority of it being the speed rather than the free for vegetables. I find that works best. I know that so often we can fall into lazy ruts and we can focus on the same 3 or 4 vegetables. And I know that when I was young, I ate very, very few vegetables because I didn't like them, or I thought I didn't like them. If you'd have asked me, I'd have said age 14, 15, I don't like veg. If you'd have asked me age 45, I'm not keen on veg. I mean, Joe would tell you, in all honesty, there have been periods in my life, in your childhood, you never saw me eat fruit and veg, did you?
About a year ago.
Up to about a year ago.
About a year ago you were going through a phase of no veg.
Just didn't like it. But what I've learned today is, and thankfully my mum can't watch these vlogs, but what I've learned today is what I didn't like was the way my mum cooked vegetables. Now, my mum's a good cook, don't get me wrong, but my mum comes from the generation that boiled everything for 20 minutes, including asparagus. No, I won't put too much pressure on my mother. When I was a kid, I'd never seen asparagus. We didn't have luxury vegetables when we were children. We had the basics because my dad grew most of it. I'd never seen mange tout, asparagus, sugar snap peas, all these miniature vegetables that are now around that are really nice. I don't think we even had broccoli when we were children. It's such a long time ago. But you know, nowadays there's so much choice and so much fresh stuff, tin stuff, frozen stuff. I just want to encourage people because I believe the biggest key to this weight loss plan is the speed veg and the fruit, but more the veg. There's no sugar in the veg. Fruit's fine, but I would never go over, say, 3-4 lots of fruit a day. 5 max. So if you're going to snack on fruit, that's great. But I would never say, you know, eat 10 satsumas in a day, because that's just practicing compulsive eating or practicing binge eating or practicing overeating. Even though it's only oranges, it's still not normal behaviour. In my experience. And believe me, I've experienced every kind of eating disorder. I was bulimic for 20 years and overcame that. So, but looking at this plan logically, when we want to lose weight, science decrees, if you reduce your weekly intake by 3,500 calories, you will lose 1 pound in fat weight. Not water weight. Water weight's easy to lose. I always say anybody can lose water weight. It's when you're losing the fat, it becomes harder. Because let's face it, first week on this plan, most people will shed between 3 and 7 pounds. The majority of that will be water weight. That's got to come out first before the fat can get used up. So, Drop 3,500 calories a week and you will lose a pound in weight. But the easiest way to reduce your calorie intake, and I know we don't focus on calories, but we do like to be full. The easiest way to drop your calorie intake on Slimming World is to increase your speed. Because you fill up with that, and speed food is always the food that has the least number of calories. Fill up with that first, and then eat a moderate amount of potato, or pasta, or rice, quinoa, bulgur wheat, whatever. And a moderate amount of protein, chicken, pork, fish, ham, whatever you choose to eat, corn. You've got a balanced diet. And if you're filling up on potatoes, or you're filling up on Slimming World chips, you'll have a moderate weight loss. If you're filling up on 20 or 30 sins a day, you'll be lucky if you have any weight loss. But if the vast majority of the food you take in today comes from speed, you'll have a good weight loss. Just keep doing it. It works. And eventually your style of eating will turn around so that you want to eat your vegetables. Yeah, eat your vegetables first. Don't just put it on your plate first. Eat it first. Because if you're already 3/4 full of vegetables, you haven't got enough room left in your physical system to eat a mountain of pasta. You'll be satisfied and full. And I know a lot of people will say, because a lady said it in group this morning, I don't have that button that says I'm full. It takes time. The more your diet changes, the more your food tastes change, the less you start to overeat, the more weight you lose, then you learn what it feels like to feel full. And I know today that there are so many things that I talk about, like I said about a 14-inch Domino's pizza. I used to eat a 14-inch Domino's pizza when I was away for the night on my own. I'd order a 14-inch Domino's pizza, a full portion of garlic bread with cheese on top and a tub of coleslaw, and I'd polish off the lot in 20 minutes. Do you know what, today? I couldn't physically do it. I think if I could eat 2 pieces of the pizza, I'd be pushing it. I don't think I could even eat that. Physically couldn't do it. That's not because I'm choosing not to, it's because I physically can't anymore. Because my appetite's smaller, my stomach's smaller. It's just natural progression to eating normally, I think, through this plan. So my word for today is speed. Please give it a go. You know, prove more than I've just got a gobby mouth. Prove it works for me. It has worked for me. I know it'll work for you. Please don't come on and vlog and say I'm not eating enough speed. It's the easiest thing in the world to eat fruit and vegetables. And it's not rocket science. Love you all. Love the vlogs that go up. Learning some interesting stuff. And I wish you all well on your journey, because it's worth it. And it works if you work it. It won't if you don't. So slogan for the week, up the speed. Cheers.